지금 10분 독서 시작하도록 하겠습니다. The death of love. It is better to be beautiful than to be good. It was long past midday when Dorian woke up. His servant brought him tea and his letters, but he did not read them. Yesterday seemed like a bad dream, but when he went downstairs, he saw the covered picture. Should he uncover it? He wondered. Had the face in the picture really changed? Did he want to know? He lit a cigarette and thought for a while. Yes, he had to know. He lifted the cover. There was no mistake. The portrait had really changed. He could not explain it, but could understand it. It was impossible, but it had happened. Dorian felt sick and ashamed. He did not know what to do or what to think. Finally, he sat down and wrote a long letter to Sybil Vane. He covered page after page with wild words of love. Then suddenly he heard Lord Henry's voice at the door. Dorian jumped up and covered the picture. "My dear boy," said Lord Henry as he came in, I'm so sorry, but you must not think too much about her." "Do you mean about Sybil Vane?" asked Dorian. "There's nothing to be sorry about. I want to be good, and I am going to be happy. I shall marry Sybil Vane. I'm not going to break my promise to her." Marry Sybil Vane?" Lord Henry stared at Dorian. Didn't you get my letter?" I haven't read my letters today," said Dorian slowly. Lord Henry walked across the room and took Dorian's hands in his own. "Dorian," he said quietly, "don't be frightened. My letter told you that Sybil Vane is dead. She killed herself at the theater last night." No, that's impossible," cried Dorian. He pulled his hands away and stared at Lord Henry with wild eyes. "This is terrible, Harry. I have murdered Sybil Vane. She killed herself," said Lord Henry calmly. "You didn't murder her. She killed herself because she loved you. It is very sad, of course, but you mustn't think too much about it. You must come and have dinner with me. Harry, listen. Last night I told her that I didn't want to see her again, but after I left her I realized how cruel I had been. I decided to go back to her and to marry her. Now she's dead. Harry, what should I do? You don't know the danger that I am in." "My dear Dorian," said Lord Henry, "marriage with Sybil Vane was not for you." No, marriages like that are never successful. The man quickly becomes unhappy and bored. Of course, he's kind to his wife. We can always be kind to people that we are not interested in, but the woman soon discovers that her husband is bored, and then she either becomes terribly unfashionable or wears a very expensive hat that another woman's husband has to pay for. The young man walked up and down the room. "I suppose that's true," he said unhappily. "But, Harry, I don't think that I'm cruel. Do you?" Lord Harry smiled. He said Dorian Gray what he wanted to hear, and then he told him clever, amusing stories about the woman that he himself had loved. He said that Sybil Vane's death was a beautiful end-to-love story for an actress. The girl never really lived, he continued, so she never really died. Don't cry for Sybil Vane. She was less real than Julia. After a while, Dorian Gray looked up. "You have explained me to myself, Harry," he said slowly. "How well you know me. But we won't talk of this again. It's been a beautiful lesson for me, that's all." When Lord Henry had left, Dorian uncovered the picture again. He had to choose between a good life and a bad life, he thought. But then he realized that, in fact, he had already chosen. He would stay young forever and enjoy every wild pleasure that life would give him. The face in the picture would grow old and ugly and unkind, but he would stay beautiful forever. He covered the picture again and smiled. An hour later, he was at Lord Henry's house, and Lord Henry was smiling at his side. While Dorian was having breakfast the next morning, Basil Howard came to see him. At last, I found you, Dorian, he said seriously. I came last night, but they told me that you'd gone out to dinner with friends. I knew that wasn't true, of course. I wanted to tell you how sorry I was about Sybil Vane, poor girl. My dear Basil, said Dorian, you looked bored. I was at Lord Henry's house last night. It was a very amusing evening. Basil stared at him. You went out to dinner? He said slowly. You went out to dinner when Sybil Vane was lying dead in some dirty theater? Stop, Basil. I won't listen to you. Dorian jumped to his feet. Sybil Vane is in the past. Finished. Forgotten. You've changed, Dorian, said Basil. You have been the same wonderful face, but where is the kind and gentle boy who sat for my portrait? Have you no heart? Yesterday my heart was full of sadness. I have cried for Sybil, yes, but I cannot cry today. I have changed, Basil. I'm a man now, with new feelings, new ideas. Don't be angry with me. I am what I am. There's nothing more to say. Basil watched him sadly. Well, Dorian, he said at last, I won't speak of poor Sybil again, but will you come and sit for another portrait soon? No, never, said Dorian quickly. It's impossible. But why? asked Basil, very surprised. And why have you covered the portrait? He walked across the room towards the painting. Dorian cried out in fear and ran between Basil and the portrait. No, Basil, you must not look at it. I don't want you to see it. His face was white and angry. If you try to look at it, I will never speak to you again. The artist stared at him. Why can't I look at my own work? He asked. I'm going to exhibit it in an art gallery in Paris soon. Dorian tried to hide his fear. But you told me that you would never exhibit the picture. Why have you changed your mind? He came closer to Basil and looked into his face. Tell me why, he said. Basil turned away. After a while, he said slowly, I see that you too have noticed something strange about the picture. Dorian, you changed my life as an artist from the moment when I met you. You became very important to me. I could not stop thinking about you. And when I painted this portrait, I felt that I'd put too much of myself into it. I could not let other people see it. It was silent for a moment, then turned back to Dorian. Perhaps you're right. I cannot exhibit this picture, but will you let me look at it again? No, never. The artist smiled sadly. Well, I've told you my secret now. Try to understand me, Dorian. You've been the one person in my life who has really influenced my art. As he left his room, Dorian Gray smiled to himself. What a dangerous moment that have been. Poor Basil. Although he had told his own secret, he had not discovered Dorian's secret. But the picture, he must hide it away at once. No one must ever see it. He had the covered portrait carried upstairs to a small room at the top of the house. Then he locked the door and kept the key himself. He felt safe now, because only his eyes would see the terrible changes in the beautiful face. When he returned the room downstairs, he picked up a book and Lord Henry had lent him. He sat down and began to read it. It was the story of a Frenchman who had spent his life searching for beauty and pleasure. Pleasure of all kinds, both good and bad. Dorian read for hours. It was a frightening book, full of strange ideas and dangerous dreams that slowly became real for Dorian. Dorian read this book many times. In fact, he could not stop reading it. And over the years, it became more and more interesting to him. He felt that the Frenchman's life was a mirror of his own.